Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I get started, I've told you enough more people, but you guys have the best winter ever. You guys are blessed. Love this place. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Tony Carter-Carden. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Tagalys. At Tagalys, we're aiming to try and build the best visual merchandising platform for fashion and lifestyle brands on Shopify. We try to work with merchants like Skins, Represent, Chic, Black Milk, and many, many more. But today I'm here less as a founder, more as a product manager, trying to decide what to build with AI. I mean, AI is everywhere right now, in conferences, in roadmaps, in our minds, and I'm trying to find out what's actually real, right? What problems do you really care about? What's actually making a difference to your top line and your bottom line, and what's noise out there? So I'm joined here with two fantastic panelists. I have with me Cal Wilson, co-founder and CEO of The Working Party, one of Australia's best Shopify Plus agencies. Cal's teams work with fashion brands like Kukai, Assembly Label, Black Milk, and many, many more. Been fortunate to work with Cal on many projects. And we also have here with me, and by the way, I use ChatGPT for this one. We have here with me Jackie Kruger, CEO of Black Milk Clothing, a cult favorite brand with one of the most distinct voices in Australian fashion. She spent over 20 years across fashion, retail, and tech, and was recently named one of Inside Retail's top 50 people in e-commerce. Jackie, hi, hope you're here. All this.
What, me or IT?
Your definition here.
I mean,
Real?
yeah, there was some
100%,
reality
yes.
in that, yeah.
I was going to say fun, intelligent person. Thank you so much for joining us. So, when it comes to AI, there are many areas, right from product discovery to the online store front end and the back end, where AI is claimed to make an impact today. And to find out what the market, one second, what's the clicker? Thank you. And to find out what the market really wants, we ran a small survey out there. So clearly, customer service and chat support is a big area where you think AI is going to make an impact, but we'll let the folks from Gorgeous and the Zendesk and their likes talk about them in their panel discussions. The next most important areas were product discovery, reporting, and content, right? So what we're hoping to do today is learn from these conversations and hopefully incorporate them into our product if we not already have. Cool. Super. So let's start with site search. This falls under product discovery. So site search typically is your highest converting channel. Usually the going saying is visitors with intent start the experience journey here. And the question now is how can AI make this experience better for you, right? There's been a lot of talk about AI-assisted merch, and at Tagalys we're trying to solve them right now, and there are two problems we see out there. So, Jackie, the first problem we hear in the market is managing my search dashboard, my search experience as a merchant is cumbersome, prone to error, time-consuming, and hence my conversion rate is dropping, right? So making synonyms, merchandise searches, search relevancy, accuracy. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how important is that problem for you today to kind of let AI take it over?
I'd say 5.
Okay.
People who search on site typically have a higher purchase intent. And so if you can serve them up content, serve them up recommendations, whether that be keyword searches or images themselves of actual product, you're going to convert them faster. There was some really interesting stats this morning from one of the panel discussions that I was watching it was SRG. And they had done some testing on their search terms and they made some global changes but didn't actually test it. They just rolled out some change and it actually tanked their conversion rate, which I thought was something that was really interesting because what they were doing was they were serving up product images as opposed to keyword search terms. And in that change they saw a massive drop in their conversion rate. So we are working with the Working Party and search is one of the things that we are working on because we know that there's a lot that we can keep doing and keep improving because in e-com, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, right? And so there's a lot that we still need to do in that space. But I think that really highlighted for me the importance of doing that A/B testing.
Okay. Cal, do you want to add to that?
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 5, we got also a 5 from
It's a 5 for sure.
It's a 5?
Yeah. And I would be curious, as far as this audience goes, you all use Google. How much do you like the new AI-assisted results that you're getting at the top of the page? Yeah, useful? Yeah, so I think as far as AI's impact on search, we can go beyond keywords and beyond kind of semantic search, and we can now be inferring more from what the customers are either typing into the box or showing us through the journey through the website. And then I think as far as a use case for AI, it's automating all of these things that we have to do manually as far as what a customer's searching for. I'm going to add those things in as synonyms, looking at search trends and so on, and then merchandising those types of results. We can have AI doing that for us 24 hours a day and just report back to us on the success.
Absolutely.
Identifying things to A/B test, right? If we give the AI the authority to do that, it can be testing those things, making the decision, choosing the option that makes us more revenue. There's a lot of scope there, I think.
So we're trying to solve that, but in the meantime, there's one more problem that we've been hearing about. Again, we're trying to solve one problem at a time. We'll get to them eventually. But from a priority perspective, problem number 2 we're hearing is that there's a rise in consumers, visitors searching using natural language, right? So an example is, I want a dress for my sister's wedding in the Gold Coast. It's very descriptive, it's very natural language. Is that really a problem today? Because do you see that in your data? Is that a bigger problem than the first one you spoke about?
Up to you.
We don't see that as, people aren't searching like that on our website. Where I more see that is when you're engaging with an agent, whether that be an AI agent or whether that be with someone in our live chat. That's how they're engaging with that type of search. And definitely I see a place for conversational search queries and that sort of thing. But we've got a little bit in that space, so we're using Zendesk, and we have what we call BM is our agent, but there's definitely more work we can do in that.
So more conversation, not search box. Cal, what about you? Do you think this is a bigger problem with the search box, or would it simply be?
Great question. I mean, we're in uncharted territory as far as user experience goes, right? And we have these two things converging. The commonly accepted pattern that a floating button on the right-hand corner of the website, you click that and it opens a chat box, and then up in the top somewhere is a search icon. You can click on that and type a search. And now we have these two worlds colliding, where a customer might be searching using natural language in either area, right? So I think there's a whole bunch of work to be done as far as unifying that kind of experience. It doesn't make sense to have it two different systems delivering that same idea in two different ways.
And we are talking about content commerce next. We're going to get to that shortly. So in terms of AI-assisted search, what I'm hearing is more managing my search dashboard is probably step 1 as a more near-term thing. And let's say we get this thing built out, right? It's going to be obviously increasing cost coming because more resources. Besides conversion rate, is that the only way you measure ROI if we add on AI-assisted search? Or is some of the way to get ROI?
I would say the measure here, of course, we're here to make more money, but we're also here to remove burden from our team's lives, right? So in the case of a search dashboard and managing stuff on their behalf, fantastic. If we can take work off their shoulders, give it to a computer, and free them up to focus on some kind of value-adding activity using their creative powers, that's fantastic. A great application. So measuring some kind of operational efficiency rather than just dollars.
Jackie, what about you?
I agree.
Cool. So before we move on, so when it comes to AI-assisted search, given the conversation we are having and what technology is available out there, do you think this is right now, it's here and it's here to stay, or it's more of hope and it's going to come soon, or it's just hype?
I have hope for it. We don't have it at the moment. We want to do more in that space because, like I said, people who search have a higher purchase intent, and it can only help to build our conversion rate. But to Cal's point, it's also going to help us from the point of view of we've got people at the moment looking at search terms and looking at synonyms and doing all that sort of stuff. So it will help us a lot in that space. So I have a lot of hope that we'll be able to explore that more in the future.
Cal, what about you?
For me, I'm actually going to go with here to stay because I think we have the tools now. Platforms like Shopify are leaning heavily into this idea of MCP and surfacing product information for these tools already. Right, this is a thing. Where I think the gap is we're in the early days of IRC chat, right, where we're talking just with UTF-8 on our keyboards, but I think there's so much scope to improve how we communicate. If you think about how we talk online now, we've gone a long way since back then to today. We're really only in the text-based layer with these LLMs right now, but who knows what 6 months is going to look like.
I mean, that's right. Who knows what's happening in 6 months, but with respect to the whole comment, Jackie, I can guarantee it's not what we're going to build it. So I think my CTO is also watching all of this, so we'll have it here pretty soon. So the next one is actually conversational commerce, right? So this isn't chat GPT we're talking about. We're talking about the idea of having a conversation with a bot inside an online store to discover products. We're not talking about customer support, it's about just products here, right? So again, in this attention economy, we already have 3 discovery channels: search, collection, recommendations, that we're trying to optimize, right? And now the industry's talking about a 4th discovery channel called conversational commerce. And I guess we're trying to understand the reality of it if we need to even build it, because it kind of falls in our line of scope. So trying to again figure out, again in fashion, discovery has always been a visual experience. And again, is discovery really going to come in a chat experience as well? So with that, Cal, I'll start with you here. What do you think conversational commerce can solve tomorrow that's not already being solved in discovery in these 3 channels today?
Yeah, great question. Think about a customer visiting a store. They walk in, they've identified the store as the place that they would like to shop. The store staff approach them and ask them what they're looking for. There's some questions that they'll ask, usually 3 questions is what we do in retail, and then they have identified what type of customer this is, what they're shopping for, and then they can help them to make a decision, right? If you think about how that works in e-commerce prior to conversational commerce, we're constructing search where you can find information this way. We're constructing navigation where we test to see the best structure of a navigation. We hope that customers can self-navigate through that. We now have this new model where essentially you can put anything in the box, right? And the agent will try to determine what you mean, right? The same as if you were walking into a store. So it's a lot more unstructured. So I think as far as a disrupting force for how customers shop, it's really interesting to watch this. As far as for brands specifically, where we have the brand experience that we're presenting to customers and we want it to look just so, maybe the unstructured approach isn't useful, right? But if you are a multi-brand retailer, like you're an Amazon, it's overwhelming. You want the customer to find the shortest path without having to learn the UI protocols that you've set up in your design. They can ask anything and they'll be connected to the right product straight away. Very useful, right?
Jackie, what about you? I mean, do you think at Black Milk this might make sense given your storefront, your audience?
I think it's a really interesting question. If I tag off what Cal was saying around physical retail, do you remember when Coles first brought out their self-checkouts and everyone's like, no, we won't use those because people are going to lose their jobs, and now they're everywhere and everyone's using them, and really honestly I feel really sorry for the checkout person because I used to be a checkout chick myself, but I don't want to go to the checkout person anymore. I just want to do it myself because I'll pack my bag the way I want to pack it and all those sorts of things. I think it just takes a bit of time for people to catch up to the change in how we're going to shop and how we support customers through that journey. I think conversational commerce is definitely here to stay, and I think there's a lot of exciting things that we can do with that. I mean, we as a business, we've got global reach, so we've got more customers outside of Australia than we do in Australia, and at this point we've only got employees in Australia, so it does mean that if we're trying to have a conversation with people, we're trying to help them, bust into carts or whatever else, and talk to them about how to outfit something or answer a question around what they might want to wear to a special event that they're going to or something like that. We're refined, we're constrained to doing it within the hours in which our team works. Whereas if we have some tools that can serve things up to people and in whenever they want to shop, whatever time zone they are, and can serve them up content, outfit ideas, can maybe even know something about them as a customer and personalise that experience for them, it's only going to make their shopping experience more memorable. But what I would say, I guess, for our customer base, they don't really love, they're at the stage where they don't really love the idea of talking to a bot or an AI assistant. They want to talk to a person with a brand that's very much built on authenticity and connection and community. And so we are looking at ways to build that. We do have our own BM bot, but looking to ways that we can build that so that it's very natural, knows our tone of voice, and really build that out and nurture it. Because like I say, I do think society will catch up, but at the moment there is a bit of nervousness and I guess not really wanting to embrace that as much at the moment.
So do you think it's for, again, in the world of fashion, and I heard the word of connecting the dots, there's almost like a concierge service, so is this for every fashion brand, or is it for some of those sort of luxury brands who want to get personalized sort of service or premium? Like, should every fashion brand have conversational commerce?
I think every fashion brand should consider the tooling that is available to help improve the lives of their customers and their bottom line. Right? So if that means buying a product and putting that on the website, and now you've got some pre-built chat functionality that plugs in, great, then you should do that. But I think for brands, it is an interesting time in technology to be thinking about AI more broadly and how this could be impacting their business. In the case of conversational commerce, as I mentioned before, I really think that there is a UX gap to close as these two different ideas converge. What is that going to look like in the future? It could look like, I saw a demo the other day for a shopping assistant bot that is voice activated that sits on the side of the website, and you can say, I'm shopping for a white t-shirt, and it will query Shopify in this case, receive some white t-shirt options. You can select one by using your voice. This kind of stuff, this was a hack to get a tech demo. It was a really interesting idea, right? Like, imagine if you were just talking to the website and seeing things presented to you. So I think, to come back to my earlier point, as I love labouring the point, we are at stage one of this, right? So this is text, maybe images if we're lucky, right? I think there's a long road ahead of us as far as we all work together to build the new patterns that become commonplace, like the floating widget in the bottom right-hand corner.
So on the floating image, so let's assume Tagalys thinks about building this as part of the whole discovery channel process, right? So should we be thinking of building this as a standalone product by itself, or should we be thinking of building this more of an integration into a Gorgeous or into a Zendesk where they can start getting product discovery data from our side? How would we work? What's the best for both sides?
Philosophically, I would say making the data that you have in your silo available to other platforms so that they can use it today, and future ideas can then be built by using that data, right? So whether that's yet another chat widget, I'd say that there's the bottom right-hand corner of the website is prime real estate. I mean, there's a lot of things that want to be in that spot. But instead, we could open up our data silos, allow other platforms to build from that, and provide a better customer experience by using that data, rather than just building our own siloed vision of what that needs to look like.
So before we wrap this up, Jackie, to you, so maybe, I know it's maybe not for Black Note today, but conversational commerce in the world of fashion, do you think it's going to be hype, hope, or here to stay?
For me, it's a bit of hope and here to stay. I do think that that's the way that we're going, absolutely. Just the way that people want to shop and how people are interacting with different platforms, definitely here to stay. But I think we're still at the hope stage. It's still got to be built out.
Yeah. Cal, any thoughts to say?
I think the idea is probably here to stay, but I think the execution is still in hope territory, right?
Yeah.
I think that there's work to be done, right? And someone will crack it, and then that will become, the accepted way that the protocol. If you think about the structure of an e-com website, they kind of all look the same, and they look that way for a reason, right? We just haven't solved this UX problem yet.
So, I mean, honestly, for me, when I heard about this, I thought it was hyped for the longest time. And like last night when I was prepping for this presentation, there was this guy who was in his early 20s and was listening to this presentation, and he's like, this is not hype, this is real. I want to talk. And I kind of felt maybe the generational gap, and maybe 10 years from now, this may be the way commerce starts to happen. And it's probably just the beginning of that. So yeah, it is definitely hope for the future.
Watch this space, huh?
Yeah. The next one we're going to talk about is insights and reporting. So again, we've started tinkering in this space. We really believe there's hope in terms of what we can build, but we're still trying to figure out like what does value mean to you. Again, it's a very broad topic, AI, insights and reporting. So I want to like dive into some of the details of where you're seeing it. So Jackie, with you, are there any AI reporting tools that have made your life easier in the recent past?
I love Shopify Sidekick. Hands up who's using Shopify Sidekick. Are you loving it? Oh my God, it has made my life so much more fun. On one level, it's fun. Like, I just love playing with it, asking it questions and getting it to analyze some data and seeing what it comes back with. But on a real practical level with how we're using it, it's cut out hours of time in terms of running Shopify QL queries and analysing data between different regions and what's working, what's not working, doing our trade reporting for a Monday, and even to the point of looking at what some of the insights that and recommendations that it has. It's still getting there, it's still working on that. And I have definitely seen over the last couple of months that improving and getting better, and it will only continue to get better. But I'm really loving using Sidekick.
And again, you mentioned a couple of things on reporting. So can you give a specific example of what it is you've been able to do with this superpowered AI engine behind that was not possible on the reporting front earlier in Shopify itself?
It's not that it wasn't possible, it's just that it would take time.
Okay.
So we're a really peaky business, so we do a major collection drop every month, and so we'll see this massive peak and then we'll sort of drop down. It's not like every week we build on sales, every month we build on sales. It really depends on what we've done in that month and how, and so we can't look at month-on-month growth or week-on-week growth and compare to prior period and those sorts of things. So what it's enabled me to do is, for example, is to plug in specific dates, ask it about specific regions, and I'm running really, really complicated scenarios, and it's coming back and it's analysing different date ranges, it's analysing our different regions of how we split it up for our trade reporting perspective, it's looking at our key metrics, and then it's spitting all of those back and showing, I guess, the trend and how it's improving over time for those specific periods that I'm saying is relevant for this particular analysis. And then it's coming back with it has just dropped from an AOV perspective. Here's some recommendations on what we think you might be able to do. Let me know if you want me to show you how to create that as a bundle or a this or a that, and those sorts of things. So and what I particularly like about it is, I guess there's always a level of mistrust if you haven't done things yourself. And so why I really like Sidekick is the fact that it will actually, if I'm looking at something and I'm like, that doesn't track quite right for me, I can actually, it sort of pops up with all of the reports that it's generated to create these insights, and I can click on them and I can have a look at the query it's run. I can get the raw data, so I can go, actually there might be something in there, or no, actually the way I was thinking about it, I probably missed something else out. Validate what it's come back with, which I really appreciate.
Cal, what about you? I mean, Sidekick, also any tools you have used or your customers have used in the world of AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to think back to conversational commerce, where we're talking to the store to ask us to show us things. It's the same thing here, right? Like, if you're not a data analyst, it might be tricky to create these reports, but the fact that you can simply ask for some kind of data and it will be produced for you in real time is super useful. Like, I live in Claude, right? All of my stuff goes into Claude, and I'm using that to, create reports and the like, things that I know that I need, but I'm also using it to derive insights in the same way that you've just mentioned with Sidekick, right? Like, it will see things that I don't because I don't know that I should be looking for that thing yet. So I've been exposed to a whole bunch of different ideas that I wouldn't have had otherwise, just by giving the LLM the opportunity to look at the thing that I'm looking at and give me its own opinion, I guess, or its own insights.
So is the value in the AI component of the tool the ability to kind of let you frame your thoughts into prompts, and that's what derives the insights? Because otherwise insights itself wouldn't be valuable if you don't actually, like, you're prompting the whole thing here, is it right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, I think that goes for any AI tool, but it equally goes for a human, right? You ask a person on your team who doesn't know what you want because they're not in your brain to do something, they might go on a completely different tangent because they've interpreted it in a certain way. It's exactly the same with AI and with Sidekick or with Claude or ChatGPT or any of those tools. The prompt is what's really critical, and that's a process that you need to learn as a user as well, is how do I get the most out of this tool? What do I need to feed it in order to get what I want back? But I guess to your question around what's the most valuable thing in it, for us it's really time saving, but it's also, I mean, if I think about my role as a CEO, if I'm in the detail all of the time, I don't have enough foresight to look at things from a holistic perspective. So it's doing a lot of the grunt work for me so that I can look more at the insights and then dig further into things that I possibly wouldn't have had time to think about before, or it sparked a thought, like coming to these conferences and things, and you have lots of conversations and it sparks thinking. And then you delve into more areas and something you probably wouldn't have done otherwise.
Any insight that just stood out which you think you have never found out saved you a ton of money or time?
Well, let me think about that one. You can go to Cal.
I was just going back to this topic as far as insights and reporting. I think the other thing is to add to that might be tactics and strategies, right? Because it's one thing to have an insight about what's going on, but it's another thing to connect that to some kind of next action that you can take that would allow you to take advantage of that opportunity or close that gap or whatever it happens to be. So using data to derive short-term tactics, longer-term strategies, or some kind of business change, I think is a really exciting area for these types of tools. Right?
So again, for a third-party app like Tagalys, for example, let's say we start looking at incorporating AI into reporting. As a first step, would you say it would be better to kind of build something like tools like an MCP to let it Sidekick plug into Tagalys and give the same reporting experience, or should we actually learn from other tools and build that into it? What's the first thing you would need?
I mean, I think similar to the answer I gave earlier, as far as sharing information, making what we know available to other tools that we know that we need now and that might be built in the future, I think that's the most exciting thing. I mean, with Shopify leaning heavily into AI and now making storefront MCP a core feature of Shopify, means that a tool could be built that sits on top of a Shopify store and can interrogate it for information on products. As far as Tagalys goes, you have a much deeper insight and set of analytics and data about how customers are interacting with those products that would add even more value to that. And as far as the app that makes use of all of that stuff,
Yeah.
I think that's at the discretion of the brand, right? Depending on how they want to activate that information. But giving them the ability to build those things, I think would be a valuable investment.
So I guess it's fair to say when it comes to reporting, it's already here to stay, or would you have any other, there's more hope out there? I guess hope and here to stay.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's here to stay because I don't see like having a 10x superpower assistant that you can just ask stuff 24 hours a day and it will do it. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right? It's life changing. So I'm going to go with here to stay. As far as the deriving insights and things, I think it's fantastic what we have now. I'm excited for what we'll have in the future.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to content generation. Now, this is also one of the most talked about AI use cases in fashion, where from PDPs to SEO to social posts, AI tools have made content creation much, much easier, right? But in a world where every brand is using, I guess, the same prompts, the same tools, the question again in fashion is, does it still sound like you, right? So again, this is not something we're building right now, but we feel the content generated by the merchant in some way will also affect the overall search customer experience which comes to discovery. So wanted to probe further on it. Jackie, this one's again to Black Milk now. Are you currently using any AI tools to write PPs, content, SEOs up there?
So from a copy perspective, yes, we use AI tools to help us create content. And to your point around with everybody using it, how do you maintain, I guess, your point of difference? I think that's a really, really critical and important piece when we're thinking about using any AI tool. But again, I come back to, it's exactly the same with you bringing a new person into your team. You have to train them. If you can't bring on a new starter and just expect that they're going to get your tone of voice from the outset, you have to explain, you have to give them information, you have tools, all of those sorts of things. So I'd see it again as an extension of the team that we're using, and it's really important that we train the tool that we're using to understand our tone of voice, what we say, what we don't say, what we stand for, what we don't stand for. But really having a critical eye then when you're looking at what's coming back, to make sure that it does really sound like you, because you don't want your brand to get diluted and to become a wash of every other brand, and particularly for a brand like Black Milk, where we have a point of difference. We're an alternative fashion. Our customers don't want to look like everybody else, so why would we want to sound like everybody else? So we are using it from a copy perspective, and that's, I guess, how and some of the things we need to think about.
And Cal, what about you? You guys work with a lot of fashion brands as well. Are you using any tools out here?
Yeah, I would say it's early days. I think that is a fantastic point. The name for that is context engineering. It's on us as the users of this tool to set it up for success by crafting the right material for it to consume so it can sound like us. So there's a whole new industry there, as far as I'm concerned, deriving down what we know through intuition just by being in the environment and through osmosis and stuff. Now being able to turn that into text that we can feed to an LLM so it sounds like us, I think is an exciting space. But I think for us, as far as the work we're doing with brands, absolutely. I think every brand is exploring or at least thinking about what this looks like. So for some brands that might be creating model photography at scale, right? Are we there yet? Look, there's an uncanny valley still, right? And we were talking in our office last week about social media blowback when it's uncovered that a brand is using AI to create product photography, right? That's happening now in the same way that Kohl's self-checkout was uncomfortable at the beginning, but it's soon just going to be how things are done, right? If you think about the production costs of photography and doing a shoot for fashion, this is an incredibly expensive exercise, particularly as we start to explore, shooting more inclusive photography. So we might shoot the same look multiple times on different types of models to serve a different demographic that we sell to, right? So those costs can be prohibitive, and if we can leverage something that makes that easier for us, we can do it at scale, we can turn photographs into video, we can create product descriptions just by showing the photograph to some kind of tool. All of this kind of stuff is a massive time saver for our teams, right?
But with the saving of time and the question of authenticity, the voice, how do you control that? Especially in fashion where it's maybe the same engine in the back.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying before. Like it is right now a challenge to get a robot to sound like a human, right? And you would be working all day with Claude, and it's telling you that every time you were giving it feedback, it would say, "Oh, you're absolutely right," every single time. It sounds annoying. It's frustrating to work with a tool that does that. But by setting it up for success, by providing the right context, you can have it sound more authentic, right? Now, is it a requirement that it sounds like a human? Right now, yes, probably, but in the future, maybe not. As far as
we're talking about tools like Claude and GPT, or we're talking about third-party SaaS tools specified on content graphic? Which one?
I was talking then about ChatGPT and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right. But on the content generation front, the one thing that I think is an exciting frontier is the ability to generate, let's say, images in real time based on the signals that the customer has been giving us, right? So we could create a unique lifestyle image for a banner for a customer, or we could create two different ones and A/B test them with two different customers to find out what they are more likely to click, right? So we can start to do these little micro optimizations by letting the AI make decisions about what might perform better and do those things at scale and improve the customer journey overall by running these micro tests.
So, from your standpoint,
a pipe dream that doesn't exist by now, but I thought it would be cool.
So, is the whole AI impacting content? Like, is it more of hype right now, or on the SaaS front? I mean, GPT and Claude aside, like, do you see third-party tools that create content that can meet the requirements of fashion brands today? Is that more of hope? Is it hype? Is it already here?
I would say that's already here for some brands. I would say for other brands, it is hope. There's always going to be a market for real-life models and intentional photography with a stylist and things. That's not ever going to go away. But there is other kind of disposable, transactional photography, for example, that I think can be adequately handled by AI today. And again, 6 months down the track, like who knows, it will be even better, right? So there's a lot of companies solving this problem.
Jackie?
From an image and image generation perspective, I'm a lot more challenged from that perspective. Like I think there's definitely a trust issue with our community, but even for me as an individual, like how do I know that they put that dress onto that fictitious person in a way that it's really going to fall that way? How do I know that it actually is going to look like that on a person of my size? And we've had to play with a few tools, we've been looking at a few tools, and I don't think that they're there. Well, the ones we've looked at, they're not there yet. Will they get there? Probably, but I still think that there's an element of that trust piece, because you're spending money and you don't want to, spend money to return it if you don't have free returns. And I guess in that e-commerce space, there's a lot of trust that's placed in the imagery that you're seeing on site because you don't get to touch it, feel it, try it on. So I think that there's going to have to be a lot of work that's done in that space before I think it's been more broadly adopted and used.
Awesome. Cool. So just looking ahead, amongst these 4 areas right now, which one do you think will make the biggest impact in the next 12 months?
Well, for me, it's reporting and insights.
Okay. Kel?
I agree. I think that's something we can do today. It's something that, as someone working in this space, you have a lot of things to do, a lot of moving parts when it comes to e-commerce, and having something to be able to look at all of those pieces 24 hours a day and surface insights. And that's incredibly useful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We are here in booth FL02. We're still learning, so if you have any feedback, thoughts, and what are your pain points, We'll love to talk to you. Thanks, Kel. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks, everyone.